who's actually going to get the most out of a pre-built like the Mantis V2, and who would be better off waiting for a custom build or a cheaper entry-level rig. More importantly, does the price make sense for someone who just wants a solid gaming experience without spending months tweaking parts? If those questions are riding around in your head, you're not alone. Most shoppers hit a wall when the specs start looking like a sci-fi spec sheet and the price tag suddenly feels like a gamble. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the kind of person who will actually feel happy with this machine. If you're a 1080p or 1440p gamer who likes to max out texture settings, stream on Twitch, and maybe dabble in a little video editing on the side, the Mantis V2 lands in a sweet spot. The Ryzen 9 9950X3D paired with the Radeon RX 9070 XT gives you enough raw horsepower to keep titles like Cyberpunk 2077, Elden Ring, or the latest Call of Duty running at high frame rates without choking on the GPU load. That same combo also means you can have OBS open, encode a 1080p stream, and still have headroom for the game itself, a combination that many pre-built buyers look for because they don't want to spend a weekend fiddling with encoder presets. On the other side of the coin, if you're a hardcore 4K enthusiast who expects 144 Hz at ultra settings, you'll quickly find the RX 9070 XT pulling a little short compared to the top-tier 40 series cards. It's a solid performer, but it sits a step below the RTX 4080 class GPUs that dominate the 4K benchmark charts. Likewise, if you're a DIY-first who enjoys the satisfaction of building your own PC, you might feel the Mantis V2 is a bit of a shortcut, especially since the chassis is a standard mid-tower with a plain front panel that doesn't scream custom build. In short, the machine is aimed at gamers who want a hassle-free, ready-to-play experience, plus a modest extra workload like streaming or light content creation. Now, let's dig into the everyday experience. You pull the power cable into a typical home office or bedroom setup, plug the included RGB keyboard and mouse, and hit the power button. The system boots up to Windows 11 Pro in under 15 seconds, thanks to that 2TB NVMe Gen 4 SSD. One of the hidden perks here is the storage speed. When you're moving large game installs or editing video footage, those file transfer times are noticeably faster than the older SATA drives many pre-builts still ship with. I ran a quick copy of a 50 GB game folder, and it cleared out in just under a minute, which is a nice everyday convenience you often forget to consider when you're looking at GPU versus CPU ratios. Thermal performance is another area where the Mantis V2 shows its personality. The chassis houses 6 ARGB PWM fans, and while the lighting is a nice visual touch, the real story is the airflow. Under a sustained load like running a 30-minute marathon session of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the CPU temps hovered around 72 C and the GPU topped out near 80 C. Those numbers are comfortable enough that you won't hear the fans screaming at you after an hour of play, yet you'll still notice a gentle whir that lets you know the system is working. The trade-off, however, is that the case isn't the quietest on the market. If you're sensitive to background noise while you're gaming late at night, the fan curve feels a bit aggressive once the temperatures creep up, especially during intense battles where both CPU and GPU spike together. Connectivity-wise, the Mantis V2 does something most gamers appreciate but rarely highlight. It ships with Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 5.2 built in. In a house where the router is a modest dual-band unit, you'll likely see better stability than on older Wi-Fi 5 pre-builts. Plus, the 3 DisplayPort outputs plus an HDMI give you flexible monitor setups. I tested a dual monitor configuration, one 1440p 144 Hz panel and a 1080p 60 Hz secondary screen, and there was no hiccup switching windows, dragging media, or launching a game across both displays. That flexibility is a practical strength if you work from home and need a second screen for spreadsheets or chats while you game. Let's bring the keyboard and mouse into the conversation. The bundle includes an RGB mechanical-style keyboard with perky lighting and a decent-looking gaming mouse. They're functional enough for the price and can be replaced later if you're picky about switch feel or DPI settings. The only downside is that the mouse doesn't have the highest sensor tier you'll find on dedicated gaming mice, so heavy DPI competitive players might feel limited. Still, for someone who just needs a reliable peripheral set to get started, it's a tidy inclusion that saves a few bucks compared to buying those accessories separately. One practical concern that often gets glossed over in pre-built reviews is upgrade potential. The Mantis V2 uses a standard ATX motherboard, which means you can swap out the GPU for a higher-end card down the line provided the power supply can handle the extra draw.